Hi, folks. Robert Quigley here. We're on the road to the White House. As an independent, representing the Independence Party all across America. In our introductory radio show for iHeartRadio and their podcast system, let's start by answering the most fundamental question. How in the world is an independent going to win the White House in 2024? Folks, the time has come for change all across America. Yes, it is absolutely true. The last president to have been an independent and won the presidency was George Washington himself. We started out on the right foot, and ever since we've been bumbling along, shifting left and right, like a blind man in the dark, not understanding where we're going, where we've been, or what we need to do. Seriously, though, how does an independent win the White House in 2024? Well, it's very simple, folks. Look at the voting demographics across the country. 60% of American adults do not vote. They identify themselves as an independent voter or an unaffiliated voter, but they don't vote. 75% of American adults hate, and you should underline hate about 3 times. They absolutely hate both the Democratic and Republican parties. America has had enough. That means the two extremes on the far left and the far right divide about 25% of the vote amongst themselves. That's it, folks. That's what we're looking at. Now, if we add to this calculation the fact that in the last couple of decades, the win percentage between the Democrat and Republican candidates has been 1% or 2%. A very tiny amount of voters made the difference between winning or losing the White House. Now, keep in mind with the numbers that we're talking about. Immediately we see that right off the bat, a small minority of American adults are actually choosing the governmental leaders. Now, as an independent, we do not come with the extreme left and right baggage. We are not tied to donor groups or interest groups. We are only beholden to the common good. I'm the everyday man with the solutions to deal with these massive problems that we must face. Folks, we're living in trying times. It may not look like it when you go out and about in your daily shopping activities, going to and from work, but sit back and look at the globe, look at the newspaper, look at global warming, look at resource shortages, look at terrain degradation. Folks, we are in trouble in many, many kinds of ways. It's time for a change. So in a nutshell, mathematically, and in terms of the mood of the country, this is the underlying reasons why we are going to win the White House in 2024. Okay, so the next question is, what is the basis of your platform, Quigley? How is Robert Quigley going to win the White House? What are the issues he's running on? Well, there are about 25 or 30 major and minor issues on the platform, but let's run through about a dozen of them just to give the folks a flavor of what we're going to do and what we're going to change when we get to the White House. Our signature economic program, other than, of course, beating inflation, is going to be to create 30 million new business owners across America. Folks, the world is changing, the times are changing, the environment is changing. We need to produce more self-sufficient citizens. We don't need more employees. We need more citizens with the ability to take care of themselves. And the best way to do that is by helping them start and grow small family businesses, and we're going to create 30 million of them. Next, folks, we have to reform healthcare. 22% of the American economy is nothing but healthcare. All of that money is going to keep our fellow citizens alive. We are enriching a very tiny part of the population, and this is a problem because all of us pay exorbitantly for our health care. We're going to reform the healthcare system, folks. I've got other videos, other podcasts, other radio shows to go into the details, but it's going to happen. We have to increase home ownership all across America. We are going to reform the FHA program. We don't want to see 60% of the adult population owning homes. We want to see something like 85 or 90% of the adult population owning homes. Living a life as a renter so we can enrich people like Donald Trump or these other mega property owners, there's a problem, folks. We cannot continue along these lines. You'll see why as I go through the reforms. Another big issue in the campaign, we must deal with global impacts. We must create solutions to global warming. For example, we must build desalination plants. We have water tables falling all across America. We must build solar panels, wind turbines. We must create our own energy from sources other than fossil fuels. We must reforest and re-aquify the western part of the United States and the southwestern part of the United States. As we talk, folks, the Mississippi River is at one of its lowest points in its history. Can you imagine one day we may very well lose the Mississippi River? Hard to believe, but the likelihood is growing. It is very high, and it's getting higher by the day. The Colorado River needs to be replenished. Lake Powell, Lake Mead, rivers and streams all throughout the United States must be replenished. We need to plant a forest of trees in every open space across the country. Folks, we need to re-terraform the United States, and by extension, planet Earth too. So that gives you a taste of the global impact part of our reform. Let's move on. Folks, when we get to the White House, we need to reform the Supreme Court. The idea of appointing justices for a lifetime does not work in 2024. We must stop the Republican abuse of the nitty-gritty details of the legal system to prevent change and reform. The Supreme Court and the entire judicial system is not helping us solve problems. They are, in fact, a straitjacket that puts a brake on most reforms that this society needs and needs to implement without delay. Folks, term limits. We don't need people making careers in Congress or the Senate or the White House. We need people in government to make their contributions and to move on so others can bring new ideas and new energy to this enterprise that we call America. Another big reform, folks, the Electoral College has lived its day. It has served its purpose. We are allocating political power across the United States, not based upon votes, not based upon population, but based upon land. Who cares? Land doesn't vote. Folks in small communities have votes that are more valuable than voters in cities. We need to put the Electoral College to bed once and for all. Another reform, folks, we need to lower taxes. We lower taxes by reducing the demand of government services. We reduce the demand for government services by simply creating more self-sufficient people across America, as discussed just a few moments ago. Folks, Wall Street needs to be reformed. We are taking speculation out of the commodity markets. Wall Street and speculation is a big reason why we are facing the highest inflation rates that we have seen in 40 or 50 years. We need to be rational about this. This reform has been talked about for decades, but the moneyed interest and the lobbyists all have conspired together to prevent reform. Result, Wall Street rapes, pillages, and burns the finances of Americans all across the country. And it's mainly done through the mechanism of speculation. We need Wall Street, don't get me wrong. We need to invest in viable businesses. We do not need to invest in speculation. Wall Street is going to be reformed, folks, when we get to the White House. Education reform at all levels. We have lots of details about this. Everything from returning student loans to bankruptability to giving high school seniors a graduation monetary reward to help get them started in life, to moving academic programs to subjects that are in fact valuable and learnable in all types of rooms and atmospheres, including the internet, self-study, classroom work. There's so many different parts of education that we must reform, folks, because what we have right now is essentially enslaving millions upon millions of people and not providing them with marketable skills. So again, folks, we're going to reduce the cost of living. We're going to go through tax reform. We're going to make it cheaper for Americans to live. Let me give you some examples. Property taxes. They make it almost impossible for an American to retire. They're too high. They preclude the possibility of jumping off of the rat race, which of course leads to more consumption, leads to more destruction to the environment. Utility bills, water, electricity, all too high, folks. Some places like down in Texas, folks are paying an annual salary in their utility bills. Basically, over the last 175 years, especially since the days of Henry Ford, we've created a society of bill payers. Everything is bought and sold on a monthly payment. On the one hand, that increases the amount of consumption. On the other hand, it propels us closer to extinction. So there's just a little taste of the reforms that we need to make, a little bit of a window of the philosophy of an independent in America in 2024. Of course, there are lots of other issues we didn't cover, like how we're going to deal with the gun violence and gun control issues, how we're going to deal with the population issues. All of those will come in future radio shows and podcasts. Finally, folks, we want to end today's podcast by reminding everybody to go to our website and help us fund the campaign. We have 20 million raffle tickets for sale. We are giving away mortgages, a house, Teslas, alternative energy systems, RVs, computer systems. We're giving away gift cards from places like Starbucks, Papa John's Pizza, Cracker Barrel, Visa. We have more than 19,000 prizes we're giving away in our national presidential raffle. Tickets are only $5. This money supports the campaign, folks. It helps us make America great for everybody. If you don't like raffles, we have live shows. We have shows in comedy clubs. We have shows in theaters. Buy the tickets, come to the shows. We will entertain you and educate you. And in turn, the money will help us make America great for everybody. If you don't like live shows, you don't like raffles, we have a campaign hat. You can buy that on the website, robertquigleyforpresident.com. And finally, folks, good old-fashioned political donations work. They're always open. They're always accepted. And there you have it, folks. A taste of the Quigley for President political campaign for 2024. And I hope everyone does well. And until we meet again, all the best.